Alright guys, welcome to my first ever video. I'm actually going to probably be doing videos mostly on Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, the card game. And my first video actually today will be on more of a deck profile. And we're going to start with Beerus as the deck profile. So, Beerus is going to be the leader card for 50 cards. If anybody doesn't know how to play Dragon Ball Super, I can go into another video, just ask me and we can go into a new video on how to play the game, going in detail on this. So, as I said, Beerus is going to be the deck profile we start with. Beerus we use as mainly it's going to be a deck build based around a hard energy, trying to get as high energy as possible for his awakened ability, which is right here. You want that permanent ability on his awakened side, ultimately is how you're going to win, one of his win conditions. So starting with his on his basic side, all he is when he attacks, if you have 3 or more energy, choose one opponent's battle card with any energy cost 2 or less and KO it. So a lot of the Beerus deck revolves around energy, like I said, and not a lot of energy, but it also revolves around definite control of the board. It's a blue deck, as you can see right here on the bottom right hand of his card. It's a blue card, so it's going to be based more on control. So this deck is going to be solely based on more control on anything on any of your extra cards. His Awaken is 4 or less life. You draw 2 cards. That's going to be the basis of any leader card you have, especially in the first 2-3 sets. Now when you come back and you awaken him on 4 or less life. So his auto ability is relatively close to the same as the other one. When this card attacks, draw a card. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 3 or less and KO it. So the Awaken ability, just like any other Awaken, gets a little bit stronger. What you're really wanting, though, is this main ability right here on the back of Beerus. It's tap 16 energy, switch this card to res mode, you win the game. So, a very quick win condition, so that's kind of what we're looking at. That's what this deck is really built around. So we're going to kind of go into the deck and show you kind of what the build is of Beerus. So first is going to be this card, Objection. So what Objection does is it's a extra card. So basically it's like a spell of Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic, however you want to play it. And basically during your turn you choose one card from your hand and you play it as energy. So in your turn you're going to play one card, obviously, as energy, like so, at the bottom of your play area. And then when you play Objection for 2 with 1 blue cost, you can play another energy. So you're basically getting 2 energy per turn. So on turn 2, you're basically going to be able to have 3 energy with just one of these guys getting played. So that works very well for just for you in general. That's kind of what you're looking for. Now, my deck isn't fully done just because I didn't get enough of this particular set, which is set 1. So I only have 3 of these. I'd rather run 4, but 3 seems to work really well with the style I run, which isn't total mana beefing as well as control the board. I do something a little different with my Beerus deck, so this is kind of the start of Beerus. Like I said, this kind of is how you want to do it. If you want to run 3 objections, you can run 3 objections, that's fine. He's a very low 2-drop with only 1 blue energy required, so it works really well for this deck. Next is Bulma, the God Tempter. Now this particular Bulma I run 4 of, and you'll see why here shortly. Ultimately, though, is because of her ability right here, is whenever she is played, you choose 1 Whis with energy cost 4 or lower in your deck and add to your hand, then you shuffle your deck. So 1, it's a very good search engine for any of your Whis you run that are less than 4 energy, which is right now that I've only seen 2. As well as the fact that you can shuffle your deck. So with this particular Bulma, she's really good for looking for that Whis. And her combo ability here is really good because she's a 0-drop plus 5,000. Her power is only 1,000. So ultimately, you play her, you look for your Whis, and then you will combo her onto any of your particular cards you're playing. So it works really well for boost as well as search ability. I run 4 of her because of how many Whis I run that are 4 or less. So the more of her I have, the better. So I run her max limit in this deck. Now you'll see why I run 4 of her and how good she actually is later on in the deck when I get to it. I'll show you that here in a little while after we get through this deck. Now the next card is one of the Whis that you could search with Bulma. So these next 2 cards I'm showing you are going to be the Whis you search for this with this Bulma. So the first one is Whis Mentor Beerus. Now this particular Whis has barrier. It's 3 cost, 2 blue, so on and so forth, so it's not bad. Its permanent though is it drops the cost of Beerus in your hand, reduces by 1. So if you have any Beerus in hand, this reduces it by 1. Now the only problem with this is you can only run 1 on board at a time, so you can't stack 3 of these Mentor Beerus at a time, or 4 at a time, and drop it by 4 energy. You can only put 1 at a time. So it's not a horrible card, but it's a nice card to search for with Bulma. Because one, if you put 1 out, you do have at least that ability to drop Beerus down by 1. And then if you look for the other 2, that's energy again. So you're increasing your energy with Bulma with these 2, but not as much as the next card. So this is kind of an energy search, as well as a drop down for Beerus. So it's an okay card. I only run 3 just because of the simple fact that you can't drop 4 on the board and drop Beerus down by 4. So really, if I run 3, I have 2 energy and 1 extra drop Beerus down by 1. And 3 seems to run really well in a 50 card deck. So that's one of the Whis you can search for with this Bulma. The next one is the one you really want, which is the Resting Attendant. Now the Resting Attendant, its ability is when you play this card, you add 1 card of energy from your deck, from the top of your deck. So when you play Whis, ultimately you're getting a card from the top of your deck. So like so, you'll have your top of your deck, you'll play 1 card from the top and drop it as energy. So it works really well for, again, that energy boost, and that's what this deck is all about. You know, you're trying to get that 16 drop Awaken ability on the back of your Beerus. So this Whis is there to really drop it down, and that's why you want this Bulma. She's searching for these particular Whis, and when you put him on board, boom, you have 2 energy now you've played for that turn, and you don't have to waste a card in hand that, say, you were wanting to use for later on in the battle. So that's kind of your initial startup for the Beerus deck. That's kind of our initial energy board, kind of increase on board. Now the next cards I want to show you are Beerus, mainly because the fact that we did just go through Whis, we want to go through Beerus next. And these Beerus do get dropped in energy from that first Whis we showed you. First one is going to be Energy Boost Beerus. He's just a little 4-drop for 2 blue. But he has double strike, and when you play this card, you have 5 or more energy. Choose an opponent's battle card and KO that card. No stipulation on the battle card, just KO that battle card. So it works really well. It's good board wipe. I really want to run 4, but unfortunately I only have 2. So I'd rather run 4 of these particular Beerus, because ultimately with that Whis, they're dropped down to 3 apiece for 2 blue, 1 any color. Black, green, blue, whatever you want to run. So this works really well. I mean, like I said, it's a 4-drop for 20,000 power. You can boost 10,000 for 1. So it's really good Beerus. I like it. It runs really well. Like I said, I'd rather run 4, but it's not too bad with just 2. Just for the simple style of my deck build. Last Beerus I run, other than obviously my leader card, is Beerus Universe 7 Divine Vanquisher. I only run 1 of him just for the simple fact that the Beerus isn't really my win con, and I don't have the ultimate form of Beerus, so this is okay for my particular playstyle. This one has double strike. He's a 25,000 power. When this card attacks a leader card, your opponent chooses a number of cards from their hand, battle area, energy area, with a total cost adds up to 6 or more, and places them in the drop area. So basically this card is a nice control of their hand, their energy, or their battle area. So this works really well for what you're trying to do. Again, Beerus is a nice control style deck, so that's kind of what this Beerus is for. I'd rather run a couple of these just because of the simple fact he's only a 5 cost, 2 blue, so he's not a horrible card. He's really good, low cost, so I'd rather run a few of these. Unfortunately, I have 1, but like I said, if you run 2, I'd say 2 would probably be the most I'd run in this deck ever, just for what I run in this deck, so that wouldn't be too bad. Now, the last real God card I run is Whis himself, Judge of God. So this is a 12 cost for 6 blue. This is the highest Whis out there right now. Really great card. Really broken when you run it with this particular Beerus deck, because you're constantly pumping out mana or energy. So this Whis is really broken because you can get him out turn 6 and you have a 12-drop Whis. That's just ridiculous. So this Whis has a quadruple strike, so if he ever hits someone's life, he's hitting for 4 life, not 1 but 4. He also has a permanent ability that when this card attacks skills cannot be negated. So you can't negate his quad strike, and you can't negate his auto, which is when you play this card, if your leader card is Beerus, after your current turn ends, play another turn. So basically, you play this Whis. If I drop this Whis down on the board, I'm getting a second turn after this. So if I am able to hit you with this Whis, if I'm able to hit your leader card, I just took 4 of your life. Now it's my turn again. I can do it one more time. I've taken all 8 of your life. I've won the game with this alone. So really good card. I only run 2 because, like I said, it's a 12 cost. I don't think you ever have to run higher than 2 of these, just because I don't see you putting out 2 in a row. I've done it in a few playtest scenarios, but like I said, those are playtests, so it's really hard to get 2 on board in a row and end up with 4 turns. So 2 would be fine. Now, next on this deck is going to be most support. The first one is going to be Majin to Fire, West Supreme Kai. I run 4 of these. They're only 2 drops, 2 blue. So, great card for this particular deck because of her ability. Now, she has Barrier, so she can't be targeted, so that works really well. But her real ability comes in her permanent, which is even when this card is used to pay energy costs, or excuse me, when this card's in the battle area, it can be used to pay energy costs. So basically, if I tap it down, I am now producing a blue energy. Because she is blue, I can produce a blue energy with just tapping her down. So even if she's out here in the battle area, still attacking and boosting everything. So ultimately, that's 2 drop. I have an extra energy coming on the board. So say turn 2, you've played Objection, and you've played this. At turn 2, you now have 4 energy on board. 3 down in your energy pool, and 1 on the actual board itself. So you have 4 energy ready to go. So this works really well for this deck. I'd say actually probably turn 3 would probably be the time you can do that kind of combo. Is you have 3 energy on as turn 3. You'll play Majin to Fire for 2 energy. You have 2 now left. You have Majin to Fire and 1 energy open. You tap those 2. You play Objection. Now you have another energy. So turn 3, you ultimately have 5 energy on board, while your opponent only has 3. So great support card, really well for this deck. I've used it multiple times to use his Awaken permanent ability of 16 cost and win the game that way. So great support card. Next, we're going to go into really just the super combos in this deck. I only run 2 different super combos, total of 4. Any super combo you run, you can run only 4 of, so 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do any combination of this however you like. I like this just because Boost Piccolo is only a 2-drop, 1 blue. 2-drop, 1 blue, so these are great super combos for 10,000. Boost Attack Piccolo. If your leader card's blue, you have 4 less life. Draw a card, add 10,000 for the rest of the turn. So this goes all of turn, adds 10,000 power, gives you an extra draw a card, and turn 2 you can put out a 12,000 power creature, and it's really good. Same with powers combined, keep it to a Kai. Again, a super combo, so it's going to be a 10,000 here for 0 cost. When you combo with this card, if your leader is blue, your life is less than 4, gains plus 10,000 power for the duration of the turn. Choose up to 1 card in an opponent's combo area, return it to the owner's hand. Then if there are no cards in your opponent's combo area, draw a card. So basically what this card does is when you super combo with it, if your opponent is comboing as well, you get to take one of those combo cards out of the combo area. If there's nothing left, you also get to draw a card. So this card's really good for basically being able to control, again, board state, as well as boost for 10,000 for 1 cost, so it's really good. Like I said, you can run any kind of number combination, 2 and 2, 3 and 1, 3 and 1, 4 and 0, 4 and 0, it doesn't matter. But you only run 4 total of these 2 particular cards in this deck profile, because these 2 cards are super combos. You'll see at the bottom of this card, this one's red, it says super combo. Boost Attack Piccolo has been errated to add super combo. The best way to know if they're super combos is right here. If it's a 0 and 0, it's going to be a super combo card. So just look out for those when you're running any deck profile. Now the next card I'm going to run into is another support card, but basically what this support card does is it'll go into another support card, which basically gives you a crazy blocker. So this is Evil Psych Zamasu. So yes, I do run 2 colors in this deck. I run green and blue, and I run 4 of this particular Zamasu. So this is a Zamasu card, and what this is a blocker, indestructible, barrier, and you can only have 1 out in your battle area at a time. So basically what this is going to do is, if say I'm playing and I have this setup, it's probably going to be this setup usually, they're going to attack my Beerus. I'm going to say, nope, I'm going to hit you here. That's going to be blocker, indestructible. You can hit him for 50,000 all you want, but I'm switching it with this guy, blocker, indestructible, and barrier. You're not targeting him. He's switching over here. He's not going to die. The only kicker with him is you can only play 1 at a time on battle area, and he can't leave rest mode. Kind of sucks, but I'll show you later why this is okay in this particular deck, because we are able to trade this off. So I run 4 of these because of the next few cards I run. So you got 4 there. The next one is going to be Terror Scythe Goku Black. I run 4 of him as well. Now the reason I run 4 of each of these is because 2 of these are going to be least used for energy, because I'm honestly only using these to get into their evolve form as well as their ability. But you need 2 green for both Zamasu and Goku Black. He's a 3 cost with 2 green. He's a 2 cost 2 green. So you need 2 green energy, which these are really my only green cards I run, other than obviously the evolve form. So you want to keep this relatively balanced. Now the Goku Black's ability is really nice. So he comes in the battle area. He will produce 2 tokens for 10,000 power that combo for 0 and give you plus and they'll give you plus 5,000 combo power when you play him, or when you combo those cards, and plus they're 10,000 attackers. So I mean, if you sit there with those tokens and you're sitting here attacking for 10,000 at a time, you also still have defenders. So if you don't attack with your leader card, they have to get through those tokens first. So it just gives you a little bit of a wall. It's kind of nice. That's what this green is for, is to give a nice little wall for it. And now also, if once you play these 2 shadow tokens, you can choose 1 Zamasu from your deck, add it to your hand. If you do so, choose 1 card from your hand, place it in the drop area, then shuffle your deck. It's part of his auto ability. You can do it, you don't have to, it's fine. But it works really well for if you say you get him, but you can't get him, you can look for that and you're good to go. Now the reason I run these 2 green cards is to ultimately run my next card, which is going to be basically my crazy indestructible blocker, which is Twisted Justice Fuse Zamasu. So what this has is a ability called Union Potara, Union Potara. So it costs 1 green and 4 of any color, and you need a Goku Black and a Zamasu. You play this card on top of them. So basically, you have these 2 on board. You pay that 5 instead of his 7 cost and 3 green, and now you fuse those all 3 together and you got this guy out. So that's what that top ability is. So for 5 cost, 1 green, 4 of any, you can play him as long as those 2 are on the board instead of his 7 cost with 3 green. He's a double striker, indestructible, so it's great. What really happens is when you play this card, choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards, or up to 2 cards in your opponent's hand, and your opponent places all of those chosen cards on drop area. So again, it's a nice board control. Works really well with Beerus. But what you're really wanting with this is the big indestructible blocker. So basically, you play, by the time you get him out, you probably have awakened your leader card, so Beerus is awakened. And what happens is you don't ever attack with Beerus. Once this guy hits the board, you swing with him, you attack. It doesn't matter if it even gets through. It does not matter, because he is indestructible. He will take and absorb every single attack. They can hit you with a 50,000 attack guy. It does not matter. He will still be there. So if you get 1 or even 2 of these guys on the board, you now have 2 indestructible 25,000 double strikers on the board that you don't have to worry about, and they're not going to get through those to get to Beerus. So you're not going to have any issues there. So that's really why this card is ran, is for that. Oh, by the way, I'm just going to have a crazy strong blocker that's also indestructible. So I run 3 of those because worst case scenario I can hard cast them, but it's really easy to EX evolve him, or to Union Portara him into it, and works really well. So that's kind of why I run this green, is just for him alone to block Beerus and not have any issues. So I have an indestructible blocker. So that's all the green I run in this deck as support cards. That's really all you're going to need in this screen. So if you want to run green, that's fine. If you don't want to run green, don't worry about it. I run it just for that simple Zamasu ability. You can get them out pretty easily and do some pretty ridiculous stuff. So the last few cards I'm going to go through are really just support. Sensu Bean. You always want to run 2 to 4 of these guys. Choose up to 1 card against the 5,000 power duration of the turn. Choose up to 2 your energy. Switch them to active mode. So basically, say if you have 3 energy, you've tapped 2, you put a card out. You've tapped 1, you use Sensu Bean. Now you untap those 2 energy from earlier and you can play another card. So ultimately, this is giving you, this is for free plus 1. So it gives you an extra energy open. It does really well. So Sensu Bean, run 2 to 4 of these. It works really well. Like I said, great support card. Gives you plus 5,000 power. Next is another support, energy boosted Majin Buu. Basically, all he's going to do, you put him in, and all he's going to honestly do is give you an extra draw. So great little 1-drop, 1 blue. Put him on the board, draw a card. So it works to get through your deck, cycle through it, and get to those energy cards, which is going to get you to that 16 energy cost. Next card is really powerful and broken. I don't understand why this isn't uncommon, but why not? It's a 5-cost 2 blue. It's called Results of Training. And what this does, you can activate your leader card's Awaken, even if you have 5 or more life. It does not matter. Choose 4 of your energy, switch them to active. So basically, this is a 1 cost for 1 blue. You have to still pay its 5 cost 2 blue. But ultimately, what it does is it untaps 4 of your energy, and it awakens Beerus. So if you, like we said, turn 3, you can have 5 energy out, no problems. Turn 3, you're probably hit for at least 2 life, so you're down to 6. You play this, you automatically awaken Beerus. You're done. Turn 3, you're now awakened versus your opponent, who's probably not even awakened, even close. They're probably at 6 or 7 life. And on top of that, you untap 4 energy and you can play another creature. So really broken, really powerful, uncommon card. I don't know why I haven't seen this in more Beerus decks. Just for the simple fact that what it does is really, really broken. So, good card, great card for what it needs. Next is another support card. We're almost done, guys, don't worry. Next is called the Legendary Flute. This just came out. This is in the new set. So it's a 0-drop blue cost, so you're not paying a thing for this. So what this does, though, is if your leader card is blue, which Beerus is blue, you bounce either your opponent's card or one of your cards to your hand, or to their hand. If it is one of your cards you own, you draw a card. So the reason this is really broken is for 0 cost. You're basically telling me you have this on the board, you've tapped it, you've used this blocker, it now cannot untap. What happens though is you put that on the board, this comes back to hand, you can play it again. And now here's my unstoppable, indestructible barrier blocker ready to go, and I get a draw card. For nothing. Run 4 of these, you can bounce anything that's a 3 or less into your hand and redo some stuff. So you bounce Zamasu in and you're constantly reusing him. Or you're constantly bouncing Terror Scythe, Goku Black in hand, and constantly making those tokens. So bounce, 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 and I'm making tokens for days. Or if you're bouncing Bulma, how we said earlier, she's going to search and search and search. You bounce that Bulma card from earlier, and you're going to constantly look for those Whis. Now, the only thing about this is it can only be 3 or less. So really the only cards you're going to want to bounce in this particular deck are those 2 green cards and this Bulma. Maybe Majin Buu, just because you get a constant draw card once you're done with bouncing Bulma. Because what you do is you'll play Bulma, look for a Whis, bring it to hand, play it, look for a Whis, bounce it to hand, play it for energy. You've just got 3 turns out of that 1 Bulma. Works really well for what you want to do in this particular deck. And like I said, you run those, and those are 0 cost, so great support card. The only other card I run, it's only run 1 of just because it fills out my last 50 cards, is Whis Coercion. You can run a few of these. I have them in sideboard. I have 4 total, 3 in sideboard. These are just simple counter attacks. Negate the attack, choose 1 of your energy, switch active mode. So it's a free negate, basically. You tap 1 blue, play that, counter the attack, and untap that same blue energy. And you can just sit there with 4 of these in hand and constantly negate. So it works really well. Like I said, I run 1 right now for this particular deck just because of how my build is. But I have 4 ready to go with my side deck. And the only other card I have in this deck as a side deck is Fu, Shrouded Mystery. Only reason I have this card is just in case I wanted to overwhelm this for 10. With 6 energy, I can play a 30,000. Really broken little Fu card. Opponents can't activate skills for the duration of their turn. When this guy's overwhelmed, he's a double striker for 30,000. Or I can hard cast him for 10. No other energy, no other color, so 10 energy, I play Fu. There we go, I got a 30,000 double striker with no issues. Again, that's just sideboard. Nothing really worried about that. So guys, that's pretty much Beerus. That's what this deck is for. Like I said, this deck is really made to go for that Awaken ability right there. Or if any case, get Zamasu out with a couple of those Whis and just pound the crud out of anybody. So if there's any questions, comments, concerns, just leave it in the end of the video. Leave it in the comments. I have no issues with answering any questions from you guys. Like I said, this is my first video, so any comments, concerns, or anything you think I need to tweak, let me know. I have no issues with any of that. Alright guys, have a good night. If you need anything, let me know. If you have a specific deck you want maybe talked about or anything, or any kind of play testing or matches itself, let me know and I'll get to you, and I'll try to make a video probably once a week for that. Thanks guys.